You make the promise at night and break it before breakfast. I'm not speaking as someone who never falls. I'm speaking as someone learning how to get up without lying to myself. The morning light hits the floor, the same way it did yesterday and the day before that. But today the light feels different. It feels intrusive. You wake up and before your feet even touch the ground, that heavy, suffocating realization settles in your chest. I did it again. The resolve you made, the promise you whispered in the quiet of your heart, the determination to change, it all crumbled. Maybe it was a harsh word spoken in anger, a habit of impurity you thought you had conquered, a lapse into gossip, or simply the overwhelming paralysis of sloth. What do you relapse into most? Whatever the specific nature of the fall, the aftermath tastes exactly the same. It is the taste of ash. You sit on the edge of the bed, and the physical exhaustion you feel is not from a lack of sleep. It is a spiritual fatigue that seeps into your very bones. You look at your rosary on the nightstand, or the holy image on the wall, and instead of comfort, you feel a stinging sense of unworthiness. The enemy of our human nature loves this specific moment. He does not need to shout. He simply whispers a thought that feels like your own logic. Why bother trying today? You know how this ends. You are caught in a loop. It is a sensation of spiritual nausea. You go through the motions, perhaps you make coffee, perhaps you get dressed for work, but internally you are dragging a corpse, the corpse of your good intentions. Before we go further, one note. This reflection is grounded in Padre Pio's letters and in reputable historical biographies about his spiritual guidance. I'm sharing an interpretation of those teachings for anyone stuck in this cycle. This is the state of the relapsing soul. It is not a state of rebellion necessarily, but a state of profound discouragement. You feel like a hypocrite. You might even say a quick morning prayer, but it feels hollow, like words bouncing off a ceiling of brass. You wonder if God is tired of you yet. You wonder what Padre Pio, who guided thousands of souls, would say to someone who keeps falling. And you fear the answer might be disappointment. We often imagine the saints as distant, marble statues who never knew the grit of failure. But if we could truly transport ourselves to the rugged terrain of San Giovanni Rotondo, to the early hours of the morning when the friar was already awake and wrestling with the world's weight, we would find a different reality. We would find a man who understood that the spiritual life is not a straight line of ascent, but a rugged climb where slipping is part of the geology. The pain you feel right now, that specific ache of having fallen back into the mud, is not the end of the story. It is, in fact, the very place where the story begins again. But you have to be willing to stay in this discomfort for a moment without running away, without distracting yourself with your phone or noise. You have to look at the mess. If you are here seeking a way out of this cycle, I invite you to pause. Do not rush past this feeling. What's your one word today? If you can summarize what you're looking for in just one word, be it peace, strength, forgiveness, or clarity, leave that single word in the comments below. It is your first act of honesty today. We must observe something very human about this dynamic. There is a subtle poison that enters the soul after a fall, and it is rarely identified correctly. We call it humility, but often it is actually wounded pride. We are shocked that we fell. We are angry that we are not as strong as we imagined. We look around at others, at the people in the pews who seem so put together, at the families who look perfect on Sunday morning, and we engage in a silent, destructive comparison. We assume that their constancy is effortless, and that our struggle is a sign of a fundamental defect. This is the great illusion of the spiritual life. We want to be saints, but we want to be finished saints. We want the victory without the combat. When we fall back into an old sin, the shame we feel often drives us into hiding. Think of Adam and Eve in the garden. What was their first instinct after the fall? It was not to ask for forgiveness. It was to hide, to cover themselves, to avoid the gaze of the Father. This instinct to hide is what prolongs the cycle. You might skip prayer because you feel too dirty to speak to God. You might avoid the sacraments because you feel you haven't earned the right to be there. This is a spiritual mistake Padre Pio warned about again and again in the way he guided souls. Shame that keeps you away from healing. He saw thousands of souls, from the pious to the wretched, and he knew that the devil's greatest trick is not the sin itself. The sin is just the bait. The trap is the shame that keeps you away from the source of healing. The enemy wants you to believe that you must clean yourself up before you approach God. But that is like saying you must heal your own broken leg before you go to the doctor. It is absurd, yet we live this absurdity every day. We carry the burden of our relapse, thinking we are serving justice by punishing ourselves with silence and distance. But this self-punishment is not penance, it is isolation, and in isolation the soul withers. We must understand that holiness is not the absence of defects, but the presence of a relentless struggle against them. The person who falls and immediately cries out for help is far closer to God than the person who never falls, but relies on their own strength. We need to dismantle the idea that our worth depends on our track record. Our worth was settled on the cross. The struggle you are in, the very fact that you are bothered by your sin, is the proof that the spiritual life is still alive in you. The dead do not fight. The dead do not feel the weight. You feel the weight because you are alive. Now, let us move into the space where the battle is most visceral, the confessional. For many who struggle with habitual sin, the line for confession is a place of intense psychological torture. You stand there, perhaps in the back of the church, and the arguments begin. I just confessed this 2 weeks ago. The priest is going to recognize my voice. He's going to think I'm not trying. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should wait until I have a good streak of a month, so I can present a better version of myself. This is the theater of the mind. In the time of Padre Pio, the atmosphere around his confessional was electric with this tension. People traveled for days, carrying burdens of decades. Some were terrified of his legendary sternness. It is true, stories are told of him sending people away if they were not truly repentant. But we must understand the difference. He was stern with the unrepentant, with those who loved their sin. But for the soul that was weeping, for the soul that was genuinely trying but kept falling due to weakness, he was a harbor of mercy. Imagine yourself in that line. The wood of the pew is hard. The church smells of wax and old incense. The silence is heavy. You are rehearsing your list, and the item at the top is the one you hate the most, the one you promised never to do again. The temptation to leave is strong. I'll go next week, you say. I'll go when I feel stronger. This delay is a tactic of the enemy. He knows that every delay keeps the wound open and makes you more vulnerable, cut off from the flow of sanctifying grace. He wants you to delay. He wants you to rationalize. In Padre Pio's letters, and in the accounts of those who knew his ministry, one theme stays consistent. Confession is not a courtroom where you're prosecuted. It's a clinic where the divine physician treats the wound. The priest is but a screen. The blood of Christ is the reality. The shame of repeating the same sin is actually a very specific kind of penance. It burns the pride. To say, "Father, I have fallen again into the same ditch," requires a death to self. And that death is necessary. Do not fear the repetition, fear the silence, fear the pride that says, "I am too good to have this problem." You are not too good. You are human, and God knows the clay of which we are made. He remembers that we are dust. We arrive now at the pivot point. We must reframe the logic of the fall. Why does God allow us to fall back? If He is all-powerful, and if He hates sin, why doesn't He simply zap us with enough grace to make us impeccable? Why must we struggle with the same temper, the same lust, the same vanity for years? The spiritual masters, echoing the wisdom lived by Padre Pio, suggest a startling answer. God sometimes permits the fall to save us from a greater evil, spiritual pride. If you conquered your vices overnight, you would likely become unbearable. You would look down on the weak. You would think salvation is a trophy you earned. By leaving you to struggle, by allowing you to feel your absolute incapacity to be good without Him, God keeps you in a state of dependence. This dependence is the truth of our existence. The change we are looking for, the breaking of the habit, does not come from trying harder in a muscular sense. It comes from a shift in trust. You have been trusting in your willpower. You have been saying, "I will not do this," and then you do it. The shift is to say, "Lord, I cannot stop doing this. You must do it in me." It is a surrender of the controls. It is the difference between Peter and Judas. Both failed Christ during the Passion. Judas fell into despair because his trust was in himself. When he saw his own ugliness, he couldn't bear it. Peter fell, but his trust was in the Master's love. He wept, and he returned. The question is not, will I fall? The question is, where will I look when I fall? Do not look at the mud. Look at the hand reaching down to pull you out. The combat is real. The devil is real, and he is a legalist. He wants to hold you to the letter of the law to condemn you. But Jesus is the Savior who fulfills the law with mercy. The victory is not in never getting dirty. The victory is in never giving up the bath. Here, the change is more about confidence than conversion. We are converted a little bit every day, but we must be confident now. Let us bring this down to the earth, to the concrete reality of your day. You cannot think your way out of a spiritual habit. You must act your way out. But the action must be small, manageable, and filled with intention. We are not talking about grand promises of fasting for 40 days. We are talking about the micro-ritual of the sign of the cross. It sounds too simple, I know, but watch how you make it. Most of us swat at the air, a quick, thoughtless gesture. Many accounts describe Padre Pio making the sign of the cross slowly and deliberately, never like a rushed gesture, but like a real act of faith. Here is the instruction for the recovering soul. When the urge to fall comes, or immediately after you have fallen and feel that wave of despair, stop. Physically stop. If you are alone, kneel. If you are in public, close your eyes for a second. Make the sign of the cross, but do it as if it were a shield being forged in real time. Touch your forehead. All my thoughts, Lord, even the broken ones. Touch your chest. All my heart, Lord, even the darkened parts. Touch your shoulders. All my strength, Lord, which is failing. This gesture is an exorcism of the self. It reclaims the territory of your body. It is a declaration of war against the spirit of despair. You are marking yourself as property of the King. It does not matter if you feel holy while doing it. The power of the sacramental does not depend on your feelings. It depends on the authority of the Church and the name of the Trinity. Offer the day with all its cracks. Do not offer God a fake, perfect day. Offer Him the ruins. He is an expert at rebuilding ruins. Hold one intention in your heart right now, just one or two words. Who or what are you offering this struggle for? Now, I want you to enter into a moment of silence with me. We talk too much. We explain too much. We try to justify ourselves to God as if He doesn't know the full story. But Padre Pio often spent hours in silence, simply being in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament. He knew that words often get in the way. Breathe slowly. Do not try to empty your mind. Rather, let the dust settle. Imagine you are a child who has broken a vase and is standing before a loving Father. You don't need to glue the vase back together before you come to Him. You just need to bring the pieces. In this silence, accept your poverty. Accept that you are not the hero of this story. Jesus is the hero. You are the one being saved. There is a great relief in admitting this. You don't have to carry the weight of your own salvation. You only have to consent to be loved. Let the noise of your anxiety fade. The demons of anxiety hate silence because silence is the language of trust. When you are silent before God, you are telling the enemy, I am not afraid because I am not alone. Let the peace that surpasses understanding, not the peace of a vacation, but the peace of a fortress, settle over you. You are safe here, not because you are good, but because He is good. If you wish, as we finish this silence, complete the sentence in your heart. I return to God, to prayer, to peace. As we prepare to step back into the noise of the world, remember this: the spiritual life is a long road. It is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be days of sunshine and days of storms. There will be times when you feel like you are flying and times when you feel like you are crawling through mud. This is normal. This is the path the saints trod before us. Padre Pio did not promise that his spiritual children would have easy lives. He promised he would wait for them at the gates of paradise. It's often attributed to Padre Pio that he wouldn't abandon his spiritual children, especially the struggling ones. The point is this: mercy is not for the polished. It's for the ones who keep getting up. That includes the stumbling ones. That includes the ones who fall and get up over and over again. Do not measure your progress by how many days you go without falling. Measure it by how quickly you get up. Measure it by how much you trust in mercy. The devil wants you to obsess over the past. God wants you to focus on the present. The past is in His mercy. The future is in His providence. The present is in His love. So, get up. Wash your face. Say your act of contrition with a firm purpose, but with a gentle heart toward yourself. You are a work in progress, and the master sculptor is not finished with you yet. The chisel hurts, yes. The polishing is rough. But the image being revealed is that of a son, of a daughter of God. Go in peace, not because the war is over, but because the victory is already won. You don't win by never falling. You win by never staying down. Today, make a simple commitment. In the comments, simply write, today I, followed by a verb. Today I trust. Today I pray. Today I return. Let that be your seal.